It's kind of like when we go for a job. Am I really qualified to apply for this job? Am I really qualified to say, yes, I would like to be an architect. Yes, I have the degree. Yes, I would like to get this job. Same thing here. If you're looking for Prince Charming and you want him to love you and be attracted to you and sweep you off your feet, are you off feet sweepable? Are you everything that he would think was absolutely dreamy and wonderful? Or do you have some things you need to work on? So everything that you want in that guy and everything you say you don't want in that guy, which one of those characteristics do you have? I'm Scot Ferrell. Welcome to What's Your Problem? My first episode of my new podcast. Trying to get back into it. I don't know if you know what's happened to me in the last 5 or 6 years, so I'm going to catch you up on this podcast. It's going to be the last time I address it, but I'm going to address it now. 6 years ago, had a syndicated radio show, doing great, USA Network, a lot of fun. Getting ready to start a brand new reality TV show. I'm not going to use the name because it got cut, so we won't talk about that. So two genres of media, rocking and rolling, and all of a sudden, my body decides to quit on me. I was sick, and I had to let the radio show go. The TV show got pulled. I started doing internet TV. That got pulled. I was so sick and was bedridden for about 4 years. So now it's my turn to come back. I'm well enough to get back on the air and be with you. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it the way I used to do radio. What's your problem? So how many people have problems? Raise your hand if you got a problem, right? So if you've got a problem, I'm going to help you solve it. How's that? Now, am I a counselor? No, this is more for fun. I'm a pastor and I'm a behavior consultant. But we're doing this for fun because everybody's got problems and everybody wants some suggestions on a solution. So why not do it? So that's what we're going to do in every single episode. Now, from time to time, I'll bring on an episode expert, vision, teeth, hearing, whatever it is that I get the most questions about, we'll do that. Because I want to make sure that you get every single thing answered. Nothing worse than, I used to be a high school teacher, nothing worse than a kid having a question and you can't answer it. So I want to make sure that I get you an answer. So first topic, first episode, first topic. Let me read it from the trusty piece of paper here. Finding Prince Charming. How do I find Prince Charming? It's a good question. Probably one of the biggest questions I get is, are there any good men? How do I find Prince Charming? Isn't that just a fairy tale? Is it really real? Can he really happen? Or I get the ultra negative and it's, there aren't any good men anymore and they all cheat, lie. They don't love anything but themselves. You can't believe them. I mean, I have people stop me in a grocery store with that one. And I'm like, no, not true. Not all men lie. Not all men cheat. No, all doesn't do anything. If you ever want to use the word all or every, use it this way. All people are born and all people will die. Outside of that, probably not going to fit for every situation. Do some men lie? Absolutely. Do some men cheat? Absolutely. But let me ask you this. Do some women lie and some women cheat? Well, of course they do. So we're really reducing this down to a human problem, right? So humans do. So let's do it this way. Now, is it possible to find Prince Charming? Of course it is. All right. So the thing is, what's it take? So the question is, how do I find Prince Charming? Which I'm going to tell you right now. So, if you're listening, go ahead and get a pad and paper or, whatever it is you use to take notes. But you're going to want to take notes on this because what's the ratio now? I'm in the 50-ish range. I'm not going to tell you the exact date. But what's the ratio? It's kind of like I went to UNCG, Greensboro College, and High Point University. I attended all three simultaneously so I could get all my classes done. The guy-girl ratio or the girl-guy ratio at UNCG at the time I was there was 20-1. Now in the United States, it seems like over 50, I'm only going to do over 50 age right now. It seems like the odds are still the same, 20 women for the one guy. Whereas, like I say, if you're Southern Baptist, if you have a heartbeat and you go to the over 50 class for singles, your money. Okay, so, but how do I find Prince Charming? Well, let me ask you this question before we even get to the list or whatever it is. Are you Princess Charming? Noggin scratcher, right? Sometimes we're so focused on the external. This is what I want. This is who I want. This is what I'm looking for. Or we'll do the opposite and go, there aren't any good of anything left. Instead of going, It's kind of like when we go for a job. Am I really qualified to apply for this job? Am I really qualified to say, yes, I would like to be an architect. Yes, I have the degree. Yes, I would like to get this job. Same thing here. If you're looking for Prince Charming and you want him to love you and be attracted to you and sweep you off your feet, are you off feet sweepable? Are you everything that he would think was absolutely dreamy and wonderful? Or do you have some things you need to work on? So everything that you want in that guy, and every say you say you don't want in that guy, which one of those characteristics do you have? Do you lie? Do you gossip? Are you lazy? Are you slightly overweight or out of shape? Or that qualifying grid you use for Prince Charming, he's probably going to use for you. Now when I was dating, now I've been with my wife 15 years, but when I was dating, I had one qualifier, one. We had to get along and we had to have something in common. And I would go out with anybody. I didn't care. I've dated girls size. I think that the highest size was size 28 and the lowest was 0. Every ethnicity, I don't think there's an ethnicity I have not dated. I just didn't care. I didn't care big, small, tall, short, didn't care. I like big butts. I still do. So I like a little meat on my ladies. I don't like skinny ladies. But the qualification was we have to have something in common and you have to be lovable. Outside of that, I didn't care. Now, the older I got, of course, I made a list of 100, so I'm going to go over that now, but something to think about. It's easy to throw rocks at people and go, well, you're not this or you're not that. And we never think, maybe we need to look in the mirror and go, maybe I need to do an assessment of me and go, am I dateable? Would I be someone's idea of the perfect date? Am I someone's idea of, oh my gosh, if I ever meet this girl again, I'm going to ask her to marry me right there on the spot. So get ready to write down how to find Prince Charming. All right, so I got my list here, so I want to make sure I go over it. One of the things that stops us from being successful in life is not knowing who we are. So do you know who you are? Do you know why you were created? Do you know why God put you here on this planet? Do you know what the future holds? Or do you have some semblance of this is what I want, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to live, this is what I want to do? And guess what? Why would you want a Prince Charming that didn't want the things you did? Right? Everybody's got a mesh. And then you have to look at programming. Humans are programmed from 0 to 7. Okay, you can watch a myriad of videos on this on YouTube or anywhere else. And not just me. I mean, there's a whole bunch of us out there to talk about it. But you've got to remember, you are the sum total of all the people that were around you from 0 to 7. Mom and dad, most of the time, if 80%, 90% of the time, that's true. So think about all the characteristics of your mother and father. Chances are you've got them. This was very eye-opening to me because it's my second marriage, because I was less than wonderful in the first marriage. And my wife was wonderful. My first wife, lovely, still is lovely. Got a great husband. He's a wonderful human being. But once we got divorced, I had to do the list, right? I had to go, am I like hell on earth for a woman or am I Prince Charming? Turns out I was hell on earth. So I had to reevaluate who I was and say, all right, how do I figure out how bad I really am? I did something either brave or stupid. I don't know which one it is to this day. I went and asked every girl that would still talk to me that I had dated previously to my marriage, will you give me a proper assessment of how much of a jerk I am? Well, of course, they all said, of course. I had to buy them lunch, too. I left with paper this thick of how bad of a human being I was. And I went home and I said, okay, I'm going to take it for granted all these girls are right, okay, because I'm not Prince Charming right now. So what I did was I said, all right, she said this, then I got to do this. And then I went through all, good grief, I don't want to go over how many there were. I counted them out, but we'll leave that out. And I said, okay, I'm going to change everything and become this. And if I become this, now I become Prince Charming. So let me ask you, look at your programming. So look at mom and dad, look at their deficits, look at the good, but look at the deficits. Are there things you've got to work on? Are there things you've got to change? Are you critical? Are you this? Are you that? Look at all the characteristics that you could or could not be. Chances are there's things in your parents you don't like. Change them about you. Very simple. Very simple. All right, so you've looked at your program. You've looked at why you're here. Do you know what your purpose is in life? Do you know what your skill set is? Do you know what you do great, what you could go pro in? Are you doing it? Or are you just working a job to make a paycheck, something to do because you get weekends free so you can go party? What is it? Think about it. And while you're doing that, think about things that people like in other people. It's funny, if you ever go to a networking meeting, what's the one thing that the gurus tell you? Don't talk about you, talk about them. Do you have the ability to talk about any other topic than you? I have been on dates in the past to where not one question was vocalized about me. Or if they would ask a question, they would go, what do you think? And then they started backing on them. So I would spend about 2.5 hours going, that's how many words I get in 2.5 hours. So what I would do is eat some more, and then go. Yeah, that's how many words I would get in, and that would get up. I got up after one date one time, and I got up and I hugged the girl, and I said, "Pleasure meeting you. You know, I wish you luck with life and pursuing whatever you want." And she goes, "Are you not going to ask me out again?" I started laughing, and I said, You would really want to go out with me again? You would really put yourself through this?" She goes, "Yeah, I had a great time." I was like, "Yeah, I didn't say one word other than hello and goodbye." I said, "No, I'm good, but I wish you luck in everything you do." So reevaluate yourself. Next thing, you have to think it this way. So we've got purpose, plan, direction. Got to get that done. Got to look at your programming. Is your picker broken? Here's what we know about behavior. We will date how we feel about ourselves. So golly, in the last 30 years, how many people have I coached in relationships? And as a pastor, which I am, how many singles do I have to sit down with, my wife and I, and go through how to find a mate, right? Biblically. Is your picker broken? So are you dating all the wrong people? Are you dating based on your low self-esteem? And so you're dating people that mistreat you. I get this a lot. People come in and go, "I just don't understand why I always date the wrong guy, and he's always mean to me, and he's abusive." Well, all right, let's look. Do you have any self-esteem whatsoever? And normally it's no. So you're dating the energy level of yourself. How you feel about you is how you're allowing other people to treat you, and you're dating that. And a lot of times we'll date someone that's similar to one of our parents, right? And if it's an abusive father, we date an abusive spouse. Now, you can look this up on the internet. It's just not me saying this. But if you know this, and if you know your picker's broken, wouldn't you want to change it? Isn't this something you want to do? So I was sitting with someone one night, and she was giving me a chronological, detailed order of her dating life. And I listened and listened. Got 1, got 2, got 3, got 4, got 5. I stopped at 10. All abusive to her. Some slapped her around, some didn't. Some all yelled at her. All were just awful to her. And I said, well, let me ask you some questions. Were you living with them? Were you having sex with them? And did you ever do anything about the way they treated you? She goes, yes, I was living with them. I was having sex with them. And no, I didn't do anything. I said, so if you don't force someone to change a behavior, why do you expect them to change the behavior? So why would you continuously date these people? Well, I know the answer. I wanted her to be able to go, lights on, here, noggin scratcher. Let me figure out why I'm doing this. Eventually, everybody, hits the, aha button. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I figured this one out myself. And then by the time we talk, they go, why do I even need you? I figured this out on my own. Well, thank goodness you did. I think I facilitated this. So you got to fix the picker. How do you fix the picker? Get your self-esteem up. You cannot base your self-esteem on who you were. You got to base your self-esteem on where you're going. Or if you're a Christian, I always tell people, base your self-esteem on who you are in Christ. And I ask this question to every client. Who are you in Christ, and what do you want? Okay, got to match those two together, because you've got to know where you're going, what you want out of life, what you want out of a person, what you want out of you, and where you want to end up. So that'll help you fix your picker. Now, this last thing I'm probably going to cover now, I'm going to probably cover 2 things, but I want to make sure I get this one in. Make a list. Check it twice. You're going to find out who's naughty. Think of Santa Claus. Did you ever have any problems deciding what you wanted for Christmas? I didn't, man. I could bust out a list. Same thing here. Make a list of every single thing you've ever wanted in a person that you're going to marry, because if you date them, you're going to marry them, right? Before I met my wife, I sat down and wrote out 100 non-negotiables. That way, a set of boobs, nice legs, nice hair, and lots of bling is not going to sway me on who I'm going to date, right? It's because we men get sidetracked. It is true. If you sleep with us, no, if you have sex with us, feed us, and let us sleep, then we're like puppy dogs. You can tell us what to do. I wanted to make sure I didn't fall in a trap of, oh my gosh, she's rocking that body, man. No. These are 100 things. If she didn't have all 100, I wasn't going to go back out with her again because I was getting a little older, and I wanted to make sure I ended up with Princess Charming. I go out with my wife one time, and then we go out another time, and I tell this to everybody. She jumped on top of me and wanted some kissing. She'll verify this story. It's just not me blowing it out of proportion. But I decided, okay, she's got all 100. Why? Well, for me, for dating, it's question and answer time, man. I'm interviewing you to see if I want to try you on and we got a future in this. If you don't get past the first interview, why do I want a second one, right? And if you don't answer the questions correctly, I think I'm going to move on. I'm looking for the right person, not a person. So I wrote out all 100. She had all 100. I knew I'd found her. Okay, so let's look at you. Normally, when I give people this exercise, the least I think I've had is three characteristics. And the most I think I've had to this date were 70. I like 100. Why? Let's think about all the facets of your life. What you want spiritually, what you want emotionally, what you like to go do, which bands do you like, what do you like to hear, where do you like to travel, what part of the world do you want to live in, what's your profession, what do you want them to look like? Do they have to be a degree? No degree. Sex is a huge thing, especially when you're older. What do you want to do? What are all the things you like to do? I mean, we're all adults here, man. When I got married to my wife, Patricia, we were in our 40s. Come on, man. I'd already been married. I'd lived through the 70s and 80s. I'd experienced most of life. And in the 70s and 80s, I had a drug and alcohol problem. So I'd done a lot of stuff. So on that list, it was a lot of stuff, right? But I made sure that if I trusted God with the list, He was going to give me the ideal, not a person, but the ideal person to fit me for the rest of my life. And that's what I got. So I have to ask you, do you have a list? It's like a check sheet. It's like you're a picker at a warehouse. You're picking all the items out to put on the cart, send to the customer. Now you're picking all the items for you out, put them on the cart, send them to the customer. So now you're going to sit down that first date and go, okay, I got my list, got my piece of paper. All right, let me ask him, Prince Charming to be, all the questions. Now you might not be able to get all of them out the first date, but get a pretty good sense of who they are. Do they believe in God, know God? Do they kind of know where they're going? What's the kind of music they like? What they like to do on dates? What's their past? Drug and alcohol issues. I had those. So again, you got to put everything in perspective. But who are they now is the key. Past normally doesn't matter in a lot of ways because people change. People can change. But what do you want? Where are you going? Do you know who you are? Let's move on from there. Then you can try out interview second, third, fourth, fifth. But we have to pre-qualify Prince Charming to see if it's what we want to do. So I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap it up with that. But right there, I gave you probably more tools than you started out with, right? Because your goal here is not to date. It's to date and find and be with Prince Charming, which means that we have a commitment, such as, I got my Batman wedding ring here. My wife's sweet. She knows me. I have a Batman wedding ring. I like lots of bling anyway, like our family rings here. So I got this ring to get this ring, right? So I found my Princess Charming. You can find your Prince Charming, but keep this in mind. Make sure your data bowl, his idea of perfection, so to speak. You match his list. He matches yours. You understand who you are, why you're here, why God put you here, and what your purpose, plan, direction is. And then you're going to take yours and match it with his because that's what the list does. The list takes pheromones off the table. It takes the visual off the table and takes lust off the table. Well, it's hard to lust over a piece of paper, right? So if you'll do those things, I'm not going to tell you you're going to find Prince Charming because that's up to you, not up to me. So that's up to you. So hopefully you've taken the notes. You can always come back and listen to this again. But if you'll do these things, you got a way better shot than you did before you listened to this to get Prince Charming. Now, if you want to contact me, if you need any help, whatever it is, it's scotferrell.com. Let me spell that for you. SCOTFERRELL.com. If you ever want to listen to our sermons, you can go to encounterchrist.org, whatever you want there. My goal through this podcast, just like it was when I was on the radio prior to my illness, and now that I'm post-illness, I'm back up, is to help you get your life better, right? That's why I'm doing this. It's called, what's your problem? Well, the problem is a lot of people have a problem with dating. if I can help you with that, man, I've solved a lot of problems. Because right now in this country alone, people are trying on people first, second, third, fourth. I think the most divorces I've had to deal with was 7 out of a client. So you don't want to do that. You want to find Prince Charming and then move on. All right. So I wish you best of luck. Go out there and hunt, but make sure you do it wisely, and make sure you've got your picker list so you don't pick frogs and you get Prince Charming. I'm Scot Ferrell. Thanks so much for joining me. I wish you nothing but luck in your endeavor. Take care.